The night was dark, a seemingly endless expanse of black velvet meeting the horizon. The sea, usually a restless entity, was unusually calm, its surface mirroring the starlit sky above. The USS Harry S. Truman, a behemoth of steel and American power, sliced through the South China Sea, leaving a frothy white wake in its path. It was a symbol of unwavering resolve in a region simmering with geopolitical tension. Its mission, on the surface, appeared routine, projecting stability and maintaining freedom of navigation in a tense and increasingly contested region. But beneath the calm facade, everyone knew the stakes were incredibly high. Suddenly, without warning, the inky black sky erupted with the fiery trails of multiple incoming missiles. The serene night was shattered in an instant, replaced by the terrifying reality of an all-out attack. Alarms blared, their piercing wails cutting through the ship, a chilling symphony of impending doom. "General quarters! General quarters! All hands man your battle stations! This is not a drill!" The announcement echoed through the ship's corridors, jolting sailors into action. On the Combat Information Center screens, green blips, each representing a deadly threat, streaked toward the carrier group with alarming speed. The tension in the room was palpable, thick enough to cut with a knife. Anti-ship ballistic missiles, the nightmare scenario that naval strategists had war-gamed for decades, were now a terrifying reality. The attack was swift, overwhelming in its ferocity, and meticulously designed to cripple, if not sink, a supercarrier, the crown jewel of the American fleet. Crew members, jolted awake from their bunks, moved with the trained precision of years of drills. No time for fear, no room for hesitation, only immediate and decisive action. Sailors sealed watertight hatches, racing through narrow passageways, their footsteps echoing the urgency of the moment. The ship's sophisticated defense systems roared to life, a symphony of whirring gears and powering up electronics. Captain Eva Rostova, a veteran of countless deployments, issued calm, decisive orders from the bridge, her voice a beacon of control amidst the chaos. Phalanx CIW's guns, the ship's last line of defense, spun up, their barrels rotating, ready to unleash a devastating wall of tungsten rounds. The carrier's escorts, cruisers and destroyers, battle-hardened warships, formed a protective shield around the Truman, their crews bracing for impact. They launched a barrage of interceptor missiles into the sky, hoping to knock down the incoming threats before they reached their target. The night sky transformed into a deadly fireworks display, a chaotic ballet of destruction and defense. The defenders fought valiantly to stop the saturation strike, their every action a desperate attempt to survive the onslaught. But the sheer volume of the attack was overwhelming. Despite their best efforts, a few missiles managed to break through the defensive screen. The crew braced for the inevitable impact, each second stretching into an eternity as they waited for the inevitable. The first enemy warhead found its mark, slamming into the ship with devastating force. The Truman shuddered violently as the world transformed in a blinding flash of fire and twisted steel. The impact reverberated through the ship, throwing sailors off their feet. The fight for survival had only just begun, and the odds were stacked against them. The era of uncontested seas where American naval power reigned supreme was definitively over. A new, more dangerous chapter had begun. The impact was brutal, a hammer blow that rocked the Truman to its very core. The force reverberated through the ship, throwing men off their feet and sending equipment crashing. It was a moment of sheer, terrifying power. Fire erupted on the aft flight deck, a sudden and violent burst of orange and black. Jet fuel ignited instantly, blooming into a raging inferno that threatened to engulf the entire stern. The heat was intense, radiating outwards and making the air shimmer. Thick, acrid smoke poured into the ship, choking passageways and obscuring vision. Emergency lights flickered erratically, casting long, dancing shadows, and chaos reigned as sailors struggled to make sense of the unfolding disaster. Damage control teams, the unsung heroes of the ship, charged directly into the heart of the flames, armed with hoses and extinguishers. They battled relentlessly to contain the blaze, desperately trying to keep the fire from reaching the magazines, where a single spark could spell unimaginable disaster. Every second was a desperate fight to prevent total catastrophe, a race against time and the relentless power of the fire. Medical teams, working with practiced efficiency, quickly set up a triage station in the cavernous hangar bay, transforming it into a makeshift hospital. They began treating burns and shrapnel wounds, their faces grim as they worked amid the swirling smoke and the cries of the injured. Sailors with minor injuries, bandaged and bruised, resolutely wrapped their own wounds and without hesitation, returned to their posts, ready to continue the fight. Deep in the bowels of the hull, far from the flames, the engineers worked tirelessly to restore power and bring critical systems back online, their efforts vital to the ship's survival. Communications specialists, their fingers flying across keyboards, fought to maintain vital links, keeping the fleet connected and informed. Every sailor, regardless of rank or specialty, from cooks to technicians, became an integral part of a single, resilient organism, working in perfect unison. The crew fought not just for their ship, but for each other, bound together by a shared sense of duty and an unwavering will to survive. They fought for their lives. The Truman's steel was undeniably strong, a testament to human engineering and ingenuity, but its true strength, the unyielding force that would ultimately see it through, was the indomitable spirit of its crew, their courage and determination. In the heart of chaos, where fear and uncertainty reigned, courage burned brightest, a beacon of hope in the darkest hour. The USS Harry S. Truman is more than just a ship. It represents a pinnacle of naval engineering and American power projection. It's a floating city, a self-sustaining marvel of modern technology, and a sovereign piece of America wherever it sails across the globe. This mobile base projects American influence and provides a tangible symbol of commitment to allies and partners. With over 5,000 highly trained crew members and a complement of 75 advanced aircraft, the USS Truman is a force to be reckoned with. Each member plays a vital role in the ship's operation and defense. It's a mobile military base, a strategic asset capable of launching devastating strikes, maintaining air superiority, and controlling vast stretches of the seas. Its presence alone can alter the geopolitical landscape. Powered by 2 nuclear reactors, the Truman boasts unparalleled endurance, able to operate for decades without the need for refueling. This allows for sustained operations and rapid response to emerging threats. Its primary mission is to deter potential adversaries, sending a clear message that aggression will not be tolerated. To reassure allies, demonstrating unwavering support and commitment to shared security interests, and to respond swiftly and decisively to crises that erupt anywhere in the world, providing humanitarian aid or projecting military force as needed. The expansive flight deck spanning 4.5 acres is effectively a mobile piece of U.S. territory, enabling the launch and recovery of aircraft around the clock. It serves as both a powerful tool of diplomacy, fostering international cooperation, and a symbol of unyielding might, ready to defend American interests. The Truman's operational history is storied and extensive, with deployments ranging from the deserts of Iraq to the strategic waters of the Mediterranean Sea. The crew is constantly engaged in rigorous training exercises, honing their skills and maintaining peak readiness for any contingency. But a peer-level missile attack, a scenario long anticipated but never truly experienced, represented a new and brutal test of the ship's defenses and the crew's resolve. Damaging a supercarrier, a symbol of American naval power, would be a devastating strategic and symbolic blow, shaking confidence in U.S. military capabilities. Such an attack would have far-reaching consequences for America's global posture, potentially emboldening adversaries and undermining alliances. The attackers aimed not just at a ship, a piece of hardware, but at American prestige, at the very image of U.S. naval dominance that has shaped global affairs for decades. They sought to prove that even these seemingly invincible titans of the sea were vulnerable to modern weaponry and innovative tactics. But the crew, a diverse and dedicated team of professionals, now fought with unwavering determination to prove them wrong, to defend their ship and their nation's honor. The world watched with bated breath to see if this powerful symbol of American strength would endure the onslaught, or if it would succumb to the rising tide of new threats. The legacy of American naval dominance forged over decades of innovation and sacrifice was hanging in the balance. The attack on the Truman demanded an immediate, overwhelming response. Deep beneath the waves, Ohio-class submarines received encrypted orders. Within minutes, Tomahawk cruise missiles launched, streaking toward their targets. From airbases in Guam and the U.S., B-2 Spirit bombers took flight, carrying precision-guided munitions. The retaliation was multi-domain. Submarines, bombers, and cyber assets converged on the attackers. Targets were military launch sites, command centers, radar installations. Satellite intelligence and cyber operations pinpointed every source of the strike. The first Tomahawks and bombs hit with pinpoint accuracy. The world saw not a declaration of war, but satellite images of obliterated military sites. The message was unmistakable. We see you, we can reach you, we will not hesitate. The US response was swift, surgical, and devastating. The price for attacking a US carrier was made clear. The balance of power had shifted overnight. News of the attack and US retaliation spread like wildfire. Markets crashed, oil prices soared, and the UN Security Council convened in emergency session. For the first time since the Cuban Missile Crisis, the world felt on the brink. Allies condemned the attack and pledged support. Adversaries called for de-escalation. The media showed burning decks and smoldering craters. Shock and awe in real time. Ordinary people everywhere felt the threat of war become real. The attack shattered the illusion of security and forced a global reckoning with modern conflict. The world waited, breath held, for what would come next. Military experts called it a turning point, a case study leaping from textbooks into reality. Dr. Julian Thorne. Someone tried to take the Queen off the board. This changes everything. The attack showcased the power of coordinated missile strikes and advanced targeting. Years of theory became terrifying fact. The era of uncontested American naval dominance was over. Retired Admiral Stavridis, the response was as important as the defense. You're not just fighting a carrier, you're fighting the entire US network. The US counterstrike demonstrated speed, precision, and global reach. Navies worldwide now faced a new reality: invest in missile defense, electronic warfare, and unmanned systems, or risk annihilation. The concept of a distributed fleet gained urgency. The Truman attack forced a fundamental rethink of naval strategy and ship design. The balance between offense and defense had shifted. Naval warfare had entered a more lethal era. The world's oceans would never be the same. Beyond strategy, the Truman story was one of human courage. As dawn broke, the damage and loss became clear. 19 dead, over 60 wounded. Each was a life of service and sacrifice. Stories of heroism emerged. Damage. Controlman Maya Rodriguez led her team into the inferno, shielding others from flames. Airman Kenji Tanaka rescued 3 shipmates from smoke-filled compartments before collapsing himself. In CIC, Chloe Davis relayed targeting data through smoke, helping intercept missiles. On the bridge, Captain Rostova's quick decision to turn into the wind saved lives and the ship. These were ordinary Americans performing extraordinary deeds. The survival of the Truman was no miracle. It was the result of training, courage, and commitment. Their valor became the true legacy of that morning. In the aftermath, the world faced a new security reality. The Truman, scarred but afloat, returned to port, a symbol of resilience. The attack triggered a seismic shift in U.S. naval policy. Congress fast-tracked funding for next-generation defenses, lasers, electronic warfare, and unmanned vessels. The Navy accelerated its distributed maritime operations, spreading power across agile, resilient fleets. International alliances deepened, NATO invoked Article 5, and Indo-Pacific partners strengthened ties. Joint exercises focused on missile defense and rapid response. The attack, meant to isolate the U.S., instead reinforced its alliances. The rules of engagement changed, a lower threshold for force in response to attacks on strategic assets. Diplomats debated the new Truman Doctrine, swift, severe retaliation for any crippling strike. The world was more dangerous, but the lines were clearer. The future of conflict had arrived. The story of the Truman is one of resilience and resolve. The ship took a massive blow, but through the will of its crew, refused to sink. The attack was a painful lesson, but also a catalyst for change. The queen of the chessboard remained on the board. The sailors who fought that day became legends, inspiring a new generation. The Truman will sail again, scars and all. A testament to enduring power. The incident redefined, not ended, the era of the carrier. The future of naval power lies in integration, resilience, and global reach. American sailors stand the watch, ready and vigilant, across the world's oceans. The fleet remains unbroken, its watch never ending.